Hi, I'm Owen Fitzpatrick, author of the book The Charismatic Edge and creator of the online Charisma Training Academy and online time mastery course. In this particular video, I want to talk to you about breaking through the most powerful fears that limit us. These fears are fears such as the fear of failure, the fear of rejection, the fear of embarrassment, and the fear of success. These four fears in particular are fears that trap us and limit us and prevent us from being all that we can possibly be. And in this video, I want to share with you what I believe to be some of the key insights that will enable you to be able to break through these fears once and for all. First of all, why do we fear failure and embarrassment and rejection and success? Well, a lot of times we fear failure because, again, we don't like to get things wrong. We have this need to be able to get things right. And that happens that over time when we're babies, we don't seem to have these fears, and then we grow into these fears. And the way we grow into them is we realize we can get things right or wrong. When you realize you can get things wrong, immediately you can start to feel bad, because when you get it wrong, you don't get the same rewards as when you get it right. Now, this is a critical difference that we start to make in terms of our distinctions inside our brain. And so therefore we start to move towards what we want to get right and away from what we don't want to get right, which is good, because the fear of failure helps us to be able to learn from mistakes. The problem is when it starts to get all pervasive and it starts to dominate us and stop us and limit us from actually trying something. Because instead of us getting what we need to get from the fear of failure, which is learning from information, being motivated to adjust our approach and do something different, instead we start to hesitate, we procrastinate, we hold ourselves back and we say, I don't want to even try, because the feeling of failure makes it feel so bad. With rejection, something similar happens. Again, when we realize that not everyone will accept us like our mothers or fathers might have, we immediately realize that as we go in and we try to build relationships or connections with people, we necessarily find that sometimes we won't be accepted. And because of that, we can develop a sort of a fear of rejection. What if they say no? And therefore that can stop us from actually trying. Again, the same as embarrassment. If we do something a little different to everybody else, the danger is that they see us as weird or different, and immediately they don't accept us as a result. So therefore, we're again isolated, which is something we don't want to be. So again, we're hesitating. We don't like speaking in public in case we make a fool of ourselves or embarrass ourselves, and therefore make us feel bad and make us isolated again. And then for success, well, if we become too successful, then our whole lives will change. We'll be in a very uncertain position, and we're not sure that we can cope with that or deal with that or handle that. So therefore, necessarily, we're scared to succeed, because if we do, that might mean a huge change in our life, which we're worried about and nervous about because we're not sure that we can handle it. They're the basic, simple explanations as to why we fear rejection, failure, embarrassment, success. But now what's important is to understand how you can triumph over these particular fears, how you can break through those fears. And it comes down to being able to not just have the courage to be able to take action throughout them, but learning to change your attitude or way of thinking about what failure, rejection, embarrassment, and success indeed are. First of all, let's look at failure. Failure simply is information. That's all it is. It's information that allows you to get feedback so that you can get that information and feedback, and you can use it and then adjust your approach to try to go after something that you want to achieve. The most important way to think about this is to always change the frame of how you think about a particular objective that you're trying to achieve. For example, if you're doing an exam, start to see that exam as just one part of the jigsaw, one piece. Not the most important piece, but one part of developing and enhancing your learning. When you start to see it as just one part of an overall bigger goal, you start to see it as less important. You'll still feel motivated for it because it's part of the bigger goal, but it won't be the be-all and end-all, and it won't be something that will terrify you from a failure point of view. When you see it as just one step or something that you might need to do a couple of times or something that is just one part of it, it makes you much less likely to be transfixed and terrified and held back by the fear, and the fear is just enough to motivate you. So always see any failure of any particular job as just being one part of the overall goal you have. In other words, extend the goals that you have. Make it bigger and more grandiose of what you want to achieve, and that way every single goal that you want to achieve is much smaller as a result. It's a very, very powerful way of dealing with failure. When we talk about rejection, one of the things to realize is that like failure is an information that you get from the other person, rejection is a lack of information on behalf of the other person. So whenever people reject you, they don't always have all the facts or information at their disposal. They don't know what you know, and they don't know how valuable you are, or how valuable whatever it is you're trying to sell to them is, or you as a person are. So they don't have that information. So when you're trying to go out there, you can get information, of course, from being rejected and figure out if you can adjust it, the way you present yourself at all. But also realize it's not about you, it's often about them. It's their decision, and it could be a mistake in terms of the decisions that they make. When you see it differently like this, it puts a different spin on rejection and enables you then to be able to go out and to be able to ask people questions, to be able to ask for acceptance, to be able to go out and try to sell, or to be able to go out and try to ask somebody out. Because you know if they say no, it's not necessarily about you, it's about their own information, or lack thereof information, about what they think about what's going on, not what's actually going on. So many times you've made evaluations about people and you got it wrong, and they get it wrong too. And so whenever you get rejected, it's not about you, it's about them. It's critical to think about it from that point of view. Whenever you talk about embarrassment, the truth is, and the reality is that this notion that we have to behave like everybody else is erroneous in nature. So every single time you think about being a little bit different or acting a little bit different to someone else, the reality is that there's nothing wrong with being embarrassed. There's nothing wrong with looking a little bit foolish or weird or different to anyone else. In fact, it's often what makes a person stand out is the fact that they're different to what people are used to. And so when you do present in public, for example, what's the worst that can happen? You look a little bit strange, people look at you, they think this, they think that. The truth of the matter is that if you push yourself out there, of course you're going to appear different. Of course you might appear strange or different or weird in some way, but there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's a good thing because it's different. It's engaging, it's more attractive, it's something that people don't get to see every day. It demonstrates your uniqueness. As well as that, if people are laughing at you or you're worried about people laughing at you, one of the best things you can do is, again, realize that if people are laughing at you and you want them to laugh with you, you've just got to laugh yourself. If you're not embarrassed about it yourself, then it's less likely that they'll be laughing at you or think that you look stupid. One example of this is if I'm ever teaching public speaking, which I do quite a lot, and someone is talking about what will happen if I get a blank, I always tell them the more comfortable you are with your own blank, the more comfortable the audience will be. Because if you're okay with your weirdness, if you're okay with your blank, if you're okay with being a little bit stupid or silly, then the audience will be too. Get that? And that changes the way you think about embarrassment. And then lastly, success. If you want to be able to be more comfortable and break through that fear of success, you've got to change how you see success. And realize that success is only one step on the journey towards a happier future. And it gives you new opportunities and new challenges. When you realize you already face challenges, and they'll just be new, different challenges, you can start to see success as something that you can embrace. You can start to look forward to what success will be, because success is not about achieving a result, it's about becoming a better person as a result. So start to change success and see who would you have to become in order for you to achieve that goal. Because when you see who you'll have to become, rather than achieving that particular result itself, you're much more likely to feel comfortable about it, because the one thing that stays consistent and certain throughout everything is you. And you grow in character, but you're still fundamentally yourself. So as you see a more successful version of yourself, you'll start to feel better as a result of that. You see, when you see rejection and failure, embarrassment and success differently, it allows you to be able to think differently about it. But the last message is really to push through, to realize that whatever you're afraid of has the power to limit you. And whenever you break through that, you have the ability to be able to overcome, to get towards what you truly want to do. And so when you break through fear and when you decide once and for all, nothing will stop me, and no matter how scared I am, I'm going to get through this, I'm going to achieve this, I'm going to move forward, I'm going to ask that person out, I'm going to go for that interview, I'm going to do that exam, I'm going to try my hardest, and if I fail, I will learn. If I get rejected, I will take on board the advice, I will use it, and I will implement that feedback, and I will do better the next time. If I embarrass myself or I look stupid, I will laugh and I will take it in my stride. And if I succeed, I will become a better person and I will deal with all those challenges effectively in the future. When you see and think about things that way, you'll break through these fears and you'll be able to once and for all live the most happiest, most wonderful life you could possibly imagine. You'll once and for all be able to say, this is me, this is my life, authentically and absolutely living the most amazing, incredible future. That's all of what's in store when you break through the fears and you're able to explore the future and the opportunities right there in front of you. So please do break through the fears. I hope this video was useful. I hope you found it very helpful in terms of helping you to break through. For now, please go out into the world, let the world impact you, impact the world, and make sure you're always a legend in your own lunchbox. I'm Owen Fitzpatrick. Thanks for watching.